Hey guys, so today I have something really cool to show you. We've been lucky enough to work with Wisefab on a prototype kit for our car. This is one of the first S550 kits that they have made, and so we're going to be doing some development with it, and we also helped them with some development of the kit. They even supplied us with S197 rack adapters, which is what we run in the car so we can run a hydraulic rack, and a bunch of other cool stuff that they designed into the kit to make it just a little bit better than everybody else's. Okay, so the kit is beautiful. I've already opened up everything, but the video I did was horrible, so we'll take a look at these again. You can first notice the quality is fantastic. All the cuts and everything are great, and this is like a plasma cut piece or laser jet piece, and welded together. Everything is powder coated. Powder coating is really nice quality, and the bearings are really nice too. They're very stout. So everything looks great. Everything also comes preset on these, so I shouldn't have to adjust anything. This should bolt right in. So we will take a look at that after, but everything on these is adjustable, and they are also replaceable, and they're also designed to brake without breaking the car. So that's really cool. So the knuckle, or the arm, is a really nice piece, and we have this piece here that bolts onto your front mount, and this is going to adjust your caster. Another thing that's really cool is this is on car adjustable, so you can put this into your joint here, and then there is a Allen socket here, so you loosen this up, and there's an Allen socket that you can screw it in and out to actually adjust this on the car, which I think is super trick. So that's going to bolt into there. We have the real magic, which is your knuckle. So they have adapters here. This is for a 370Z hub, if you want to run a 370Z hub. If not, you can just run a S550 like Shelby or Magna-Ride hub, which is what we're gonna run, because they are about the same price and the studs are bigger, so they're gonna match what we have on the car now. This is an adjustable bump stop. You can see it's marked for how far the bump stop is, which is pretty trick. It's just drilled offset, super simple. And then we have Ackerman adjustments and stuff that I don't know how to do it yet, but we'll get there. Everything kind of just fits into these little pins. And like I said, these guys have been around doing this for a really long time. Super cool, super simple setup and adjustment. So the knuckle, once again, is like a cut and welded piece. It looks really good. All the welds look fantastic. From what I can see, the powder coat is super thick and nice, but from what I can see, it looks great. And then this also mounts with your factory brakes. The top hats are universal from each side, which is really cool. It offsets your shock, so you have minimal caster and camber, and also your angle is a lot less because your shock should be way out to the outside of the car. These are nice because they are, like I said, they're the same for each side. You just have to trim this or trim the strut tower brace stud, so this will fit up nice and tight. So we'll look into that once we pull everything off my car. They supply the tie rods and everything too. There is an adapter. Then this will screw into your S550 here. And once again, super nice rod ends on the outside for everything. Then we just have more hardware and stuff to look at. But this is my first real angle kit, you know, from like a company. You know, JTP's stuff is really nice, but it was kind of just like bolt on and go. It wasn't like any adjustment or anything, so we're gonna have to look into this, and we're also gonna have to do some testing to play with it. Another thing I really like about this kit is it's got the adjustable sway bar mounts, so the sway bar will be, you know, looser here and tighter here, so depending on how much bar you want, you can adjust it. So that's a nice little feature to have. So luckily we've worked a lot on this front end, and I know what every size is off the top of my head. So that's one thing we'll probably have to get used to again with the new kit. Or hopefully it's all the same size, but I don't think it is. Also, hopefully, we can get rid of those washers. So we're going to be utilizing our factory front brakes on this new kit as well. These are just factory base GT brakes. We'll also still be utilizing these shocks. These bolts I did turn on my lathe. You could probably grind them or just get new bolts. I didn't like how tight these knurls were. They were a pain to get in and out. So I did turn the knurls off of these bolts just to make life a little easier. Make sure we don't lose our washers and we put them all in the same spot. And there it is. You can see the kit is very easy to take apart. Okay, so under here, they have this in the instructions. You can either cut the bracket a little bit, or you can remove this dimple for your strut tower brace. I'm a dummy and I welded it up top because I don't run the strut tower, but I didn't like the hole. So I welded it and cleaned it and flushed it so it looked really nice. Well, now I gotta grind this so this fits. So I'm basically gonna cut this in half and grind it out, and I gotta do the same thing on that side. So on this side, this ground gets in the way too, so we'll have to grind that off on the bottom, and I'll probably end up just putting this one here. This is a pain. I tried hammering it from the top, and I tried spinning it off with a impact. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it while you're on my head. So this is being a pain here. We're gonna try to use an impact to pop it off, or air chisel. Alright, I swapped to this bit here, and I actually got it chiseled off. Hell yeah. So I got this ground down here on this side, more than half of it. Gonna go do the other side next. Alright, so we're gonna take our awesome Benchmark abrasives grinders, and basically I marked this on the plate. You could cut the plate, but then you'd have a left and right side. So I want to be able to have a spare and not worry about what side it is. So I'm gonna just grind these tabs down here. Okay, so the nice thing about using these plates, or these plates being universal, is that I can just place this on top of here to get your mark. You gotta make sure you have it on there correctly, or else you'll mark it wrong like I did earlier. Luckily, I realized before I had to cut anything. Line this up nice and straight. Then we'll do a mark around here. Then we'll come around and cut this out like this. It's pretty much just enough for the bearing, and the nut has room to move around in it. Man, clean that up with the Dremel a little bit. These are also Benchmark abrasives carbide bits. Highly recommend them. They're super sharp, and also use their body saw blades as well. All of it super fantastic. There it is. Now it's not sharp anymore and we won't die. Perfect. Let's get some I guess we should try this first, but it will fit. We'll try this on, and then we'll get some paint on, and we'll put the rest of this kit together. All right, so we're gonna start working on the knuckles here and get them all together. One thing I did notice when I was putting the hub in, it is powder coated here, so hopefully they have this fixed by the time it goes into production. But I'm gonna use my little cookie grinder here with a non-abrasive disc, and it's gonna take this powder coat off without actually grinding this. So if you have something like that, you should use that. These are sold by Benchmark Abrasives. If you want to use these, that way you don't mess up this hub bore here. If you are going to use a 370Z hub, you're going to slide this bearing in here. That kind of like presses it in. I think that keeps it solid around this guy. And then this goes on the front, and then this is like a spacer that goes on the front over here. So this is actually double drilled for S550 and 370Z. I'm guessing overseas the 370Z ones are more popular. Maybe they use them on a lot of Wisefab kits, so maybe if I'm in a hard spot at FD, I could put a 370Z hub on it, but I already bought 4 S550 hubs. Alright, that's pretty clean. So we bought brand new hubs because my car didn't have these bolt-on ones. These are off of like a Magna ride, but now that we cleaned it up, they slide right into place. And Wisefab was nice enough to supply us with these bolts because I feel like most people aren't going to use a Performance Pack 2 or GT350 car for their drift car. But you never know. Things might change. Bolts go right through here. Torqued. So the first thing we're going to do to attack this job is we're going to pull this tie rod off. This is going to be the last piece of the old kit that we're going to work on. I have an 1 7/16. I think it's an 1 3/8 as the actual size, but this works just fine. Or you can use an adjustable if you don't have that. But we're going to pull this off and replace this tie rod. So we'll take our new tie rod. If I was not swapping the rack out, I would put some Loctite on there, red Loctite on the tie rod, and they do supply an S550 and an S197 rack adapter. So the S197 one is a smaller one, so I'm gonna have to pull this off. We'll put this S197 rack adapter on here and thread it into the car. Then the inside adapter is a 28, and then the tie rod is a 32. So these are really easy to get to on these cars. If you just slide the steering rack back and forth, you can actually get a wrench on these, even with the control arms on, which is pretty nice. You don't have to use like a crazy crow's foot setup or anything. So there we go. Tie rod is in. Next up, we're gonna swap our top hats on our struts. So on our field coilovers, we have the factory shocks on here. So the first thing I'm gonna have to do is pull the knob off of this and then take this nut off. All right, so if you already have some field coilovers, you're gonna take your 2mm Allen wrench, pull that off, and then this should be a 21. We'll pop this new top hat off. Now make sure you get your little adapters out of this, I was able to use an extension, a hammer, just to kind of pop it out. This one wasn't so tight. Now we got our adapters out. Okay, so we're gonna get our top hat on our coilover. Put our shims back in here. Make sure we start this by hand. Alright, now we're tight. We'll hit it again once we get weight on the car just to make sure we're good. But we're ready to put this in the car. Tighten all that up when we get the car off the lift. Our strut is in, mint. Before I'm even gonna start on this side, I did notice that on the other side with my other angle kit, it pinched the torque boxes a little bit. So I'm gonna just hammer them out, make my life easier to get the arm in. Now with the arm, we're gonna put our front mount on here. We're gonna just put it in loose. Make sure your bolts go downwards. That way, if you ever lose a nut, you don't lose your bolt. We can adjust this on the car because this kit's super cool and allows you to do that with a 10mm hex right there. The last one I had to do this too, run it in. It's a 17mm. I think it's just the powder coating that's a little tough to get it through. Goes right in. Not a big deal. We're going to leave this just like this, and then we're going to use our factory bolts. In my case, I'm going to use the bolts I had on the other kit because I don't know where my factory bolts are, but they're the factory size and they work just fine. All right, we'll pop our arm in here. This is really nice because the JTP kit doesn't allow you to put the arm in without having a second adapter on there that you got to kind of like mess with to get in. This one you can just put in and there's no bushings that you're worried about dropping. See, so we're still a little tight. This one's fine. We'll start this bolt in. And I'll use my mallet to just tap that in. Might not need to do this on your car if you never had another angle kit on it. There we go, now it's moving. Just had to get past that little lip, I think. Oh yeah, beautiful. And our arm moves perfectly. When you tighten this up, you want to make sure that your rod end is not going to bind up. But now we're good to get our knuckle on. So it's going to come with instructions for your Ackerman adapters. You got pretty much like medium Ackerman, a lot of Ackerman, and then zero Ackerman comes on it. I'm going to run the zero Ackerman to see how I like it, because generally I like cars with less Ackerman. Then we have our lock stoppers here. So this is going to be as much lock as possible. This is going to be as little lock as possible. So these are pretty trick, but we're going to adjust this once we get it on the car and the tie rod in and everything. The coolest part about this kit are these little adjusters here. So they slide in here and you pull them up and down, and that gives you your camber. So right here, that's going to pull it all the way in. That's going to be max camber. You push it down, that's a little bit less camber. If you flip it around, then you get even less camber. So I already have the other side in and realized that we needed max camber, or I think so anyway. We're going to get this on an alignment machine to check it, but really cool, and it's adjustable on car, super easy, and then you just drop them all on the ground. Good thing about these is when you drop them on the ground, they pop right back in. It's not a big deal. So like I said, less camber like that, more camber like this. And it's got little notches, that way you can actually like read what setting you're at. It's pretty trick. These are 15/16. The ones on the inside here are 15/16 for mine. I don't know if they will be for yours. If you got a hole back up on the knuckle bolts to the strut, they are 21 millimeters. Sweet. The knuckle to lower control arm bolt is a 19. Then your tie rod is going to be a 17. I use the bolt to get a little bit of leverage on the rod end, so I can actually get the angle proper to slide this in. All these rod ends are very, very tight. Alrighty, we have an angle kit, boys. Alright, next up we're gonna put our brakes on. So everything fits right on with these new hubs. I didn't have to change anything. It's all the same for the brakes and the rotors and everything for the MagneRide stuff. A brand new Hawk pads, so they're really, really tight on these rotors. Just barely squeeze on. Probably compress the caliper a little bit and make your life easier, but I know I could get them to fit without doing that. Alright, now with the brake rotor on and everything, we can adjust our lock stop. That's going to be the last thing for the actual kit before we do our caster and camber adjustment. So I'm going to turn this wheel all the way out. I already did some measurements on the other side to make sure my brakes fit. We're all the way turned, or the wheels fit. We're on the full angle mark. I make sure that it's nice and flat on the control arm here. I'm going to tighten it up. Okay, so we're gonna do a little jank caster alignment. We're 0.7 down. There's 9.3 on the other side. So we're gonna need to come a little bit because we're about a degree off on the lift. We're pretty close right there. I measured the threads on the caster nut. So I'm gonna just tighten this up and we'll bring it to the alignment shop to get it fully checked. But we're really close. We're probably within a half a degree here, so I'm not gonna mess with it because I don't have a real caster camber gauge. And if we want to check our camber, we're about 5.5 degrees, which is what we were on the other side at maxed out. So we're actually really close. We're gonna just send this like this. We'll have to do our tow if we're gonna drive it to the alignment shop, or we can just trailer it there and have them do everything in the front. But it should be really close. Okay, we're gonna straighten this rod end out before we get too crazy. Put it right there. We'll tighten up our bolts here, which is going to lock your rod end in place. Good to go. There she is, locked in and ready. All right, so the wheels that we're running, they fit perfect. They are a 18 by 8.5 plus 35 or 38, I forget. They're really close. And they have like the perfect amount of clearance from the arm. All right, so look at this angle, it's insane. You turn it like that. I think our toe is off. So are we touching? We are. So ton of angle. This has to be, you know, we're really close, 65, 70 degrees of angle. When I lowered the car down and I had the tie rod all the way in, I realized that the toe was 3 inches out. So we're gonna cut a 1/2 inch off the tie rods, and hopefully that will give us enough to get the toe in spec. So I measured and marked with tape. I'm gonna just use my cutoff wheel to cut the tie rod, and then I'm gonna grind it to clean it up. All right, that cuts super easy. All right, now that that's all cleaned up, this nut should be able to come right on and off, no problem. Butter. Now I did already thread lock the inside. You can see I put way too much on it. We torqued it down. I'll get my boot on. This is just the factory S550 boot. We'll use a zip tie on the inside. So before I forget, definitely need to tighten up these top hats. All right, we're here at Texas Motor Speedway again. Super pumped. We got our car. It's our first time driving on the Wisefab, and Wisefab's actually going to be coming out and helping us get the car dialed in. We did a bunch of big changes. We'll probably talk about that later, but we're getting ready to do our first laps, and super stoked. Look at the angle on this thing now. It's insane. So we just did our first 2 laps with the Wisefab and our new setup, and we were like not gripped at all, but the car felt phenomenal. It went exactly where I wanted it to, did exactly what I wanted it to. We're a little bit timid on the entry and everything. Like we didn't want to go too fast. Then we followed some people. A guy spun. We were able to get around him, no problem. The front suspension just is like really smooth and does what I wanted to. So can't complain, and can't wait to do some more laps. Alright guys, I hope the video was super helpful. The kit is amazing. I'm super happy to be working with Wisefab. We've had the kit on the car for like 8 or 9 months now, and we haven't had any failures or any issues, and it's really been great. We've done quite a bit of changes to tweak it to exactly our driving style, but it's just really fluid, really nice to drive, and it does exactly what you want. So if you get one of those kits, great. I think it's the best driving one on the market. I do have the S197 hydraulic rack in the car, so I haven't driven it with a E-Pass rack, but I like the setup better than the JTP kit with the hydraulic rack. And I've also driven an FDF car, and I still think my car drives 100 times better. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ask me any questions if you're installing one of those kits, and hit me up too. I'm a Wisefab dealer, and we can get you one. I'll even put the link in the description below. So we'll see you later.